Hey, what's up, everybody? Video 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so Laker. That's what we're talking about. Of course, yesterday we know that we waived Cole Swider and brought back Alex Fudge. Happy birthday, Alex Fudge! Today is his 20th birthday. 20th birthday. So we definitely want to show love to Alex. Um, and you know, I mean, it's one of those situations where we're really excited about the process that just took place. I think at the end of the day, Cole Swider didn't look very good. I've listened to a lot of people talk about Cole Swider, and the first thing that I'm hearing, all the bullet points are pointing in the same direction. They're saying he didn't get better from year 1 to year 2, or year 2 to year 3, whatever. I thought he was after last year, but maybe the year before that or something. But the point is, he didn't look good this particular go around as he did last year. But he had the foot injury, so that will set back a young player's development, and obviously he had development to do. I think the what really the case was is that he didn't come back looking like an athlete after the injury. I think that's the way I would describe it. He didn't look like an athlete. His talent is way above average at the thing that he's most good at. He's better than most, period, at shooting the ball. Period. Superstars, stars, anybody. He's as good as anybody shooting the ball, but he can't really do anything else. And the player that we had when we first drafted him was somebody who can wiggle a little bit. He had chase down block ability. He could dunk the ball a little bit. He could move around. He was fast to get to his spots. The guy that we saw today, or rather in the summer league, looked like somebody who had aged. That's what he looked like. He looked like a guy who was 32 years old out there. And so for me, it was like he is an older, he's an older rookie last year, whatever. I think he was already in his about mid-20s already. So the upside ain't really there. And then you look at the type of prospects we're getting, Alex Fudge and Colin Castleton. They're just higher level talent off the top. So when you have a situation where you got to choose, it ain't a very difficult decision for the Lakers. So Alex Fudge is a guy that, you know, I just got through watching a really good bit of content. I wish I knew who it was. The name of the guy who did the content, I apologize, but he broke down Alex Fudge as a Laker prospect, and they told us how he had comparable size and length to Vanderbilt, similar styles. So we picked up another Vanderbilt is essentially what we're hearing there, and we're very happy about that. Hopefully he can develop into something even better. You know, I think that what I saw from Alex Fudge that really stood out was just his ability, his floor vision and timing with his passes. I thought was jumped off the screen. All the other stuff was conventional. You know, his length is going to help him rebound. He's going to be able to catch lobs, get deflections and stuff like that. Where you expect that from a player of his size. But what you may not expect is that he can make passes, that he's got feel for the game, a rhythm to his game that you can't teach. And that's what I see there. There's a certain upside there on the offensive end that I don't see with Vanderbilt, that I do see with Fudge. Now, I don't know if Fudge has the same upside defensively, as Vanderbilt's very special defensively. But I think together they can develop into a hell of a tandem. 4 years apart, so you like them to be on the same timeline. I hope, you know, we can see them together some in the future. Maybe not this upcoming season so much at all, but the year 2024, 2025, I hope they're both part of this regular rotation. I've been on record saying I want Vanderbilt to retire a Laker, just because I don't think there's ever a year where you don't want what Vanderbilt brings to the table. There's no style of basketball where I can't use Vanderbilt in my system. There is no style. Even if we got nothing but a stretch the floor style, everybody's, you know, kind of doing the same thing. I still want a Vanderbilt somewhere on that roster to guard the little guys and to ultimately do things with his length against people that are whatever size, you know. So that's what Fudge can be as well, guard all 5 positions. And when you have 2 guys like that on your team, you understand that if you find a way to get them both to their highest level, nothing ever drops off on your defensive end. They're interchangeable, or you can play them together depending on the spacing. I personally think Alex Fudge's 3-point shot is going to improve. Vanderbilt's working on it now. So if we can turn both of those guys into an above 30% 3-point shooter, it's night for the NBA. They're going to have to deal with those two for a long time. And that ain't even including Anthony Davis. So I already see upside with our defense with those 2 players alone. And I just want to see us keep those guys in this organization, period. Vando and Fudge. So we're looking good there with length and When you add Max Lewis to that situation, our small forward position of the future is pretty much set. I mean, unless you just want to find yourself a superstar, when you're looking for role players that fit the modern style and what you hope to be able to do defensively and offensively, respectively, I think the Lakers are set in the small forward position probably, period. Just set. We just got to develop what we have. Max Christie, Max Lewis, Austin Reeves, Vanderbilt, Fudge. That's the future, right? I'm good. I don't need to look for a small forward probably for another 5-6 years, period. I'm just being honest with everybody. Unless those guys just don't develop, or unless I, like I said, need a superstar at some point. But as far as I can tell, I don't have to look for anybody to play that position. We can look for other options for ourselves because we're good there. And so that's what I love about our situation. And I look at Jalen Hood-Schifino and what he could potentially be defensively as well on that same timeline. It looks great, man. It looks great. The question you wonder is where does Cam Reddish come in? Because I love the idea of him having an upside on this roster too, but maybe only for the short term because of the upside of all those other guys. And so that's just interesting to see where he fits in. Can he separate himself from them dudes as a talented, naturally talented player? Because he does have a lot of natural talent himself that I think he may be able to. And also a guy like Taurean Prince, who in the short term, right away, will likely have more of those minutes than some of those other upside names that I expect to be on the team in the coming years. So when I say our small forward position is set, I mean like for the future, not necessarily looking at those guys and saying they got to step up and step out right now. It's small forward by committee. Everybody's developing basically. So that's really good as a whole. I was listening to Trevor Lane talk about Austin Reeves this morning, and I was wondering, if Austin Reeves is going to be a player that would be stepping into fantasy relevance this season as a fantasy basketball fan. I don't have him on any of my teams, but I also know that had to do with the usage and the consistency of his role. It's not necessarily because he doesn't pass the eye test or that he can't be efficient enough to make your fantasy roster relevant. It's just that in the first couple of years, he was in a developing player playing a role player's role on a rookie contract. I think now that he's been paid, he's probably going to have higher usage. You're likely going to see him on the floor more. You're likely going to see the Lakers want to play him because they've paid him. And that's a great thing when you're talking about Austin Reeves. So for me, I think you're going to probably see him step into fantasy relevance some point this season. He's going to be somebody you want to own on your team. So I think that could potentially be the thing this year, depending on if that plays out the way I think it will. But we have a lot of guards and a lot of forwards, and that inconsistency can still leave room for him not quite making it to fantasy relevance. But if he gets enough playing time, he'll definitely play himself up to that. No question about it. I wonder the same about Rui Hachimura as well. I just think it's a good chance you're going to see them unleash the Rui, because they didn't last year because they were trying to keep him in a space where they respected his development, first of all. But second of all, they wanted to make sure they had him at a price that they could afford in the offseason. So they didn't play him as much as they should in the playoffs, when we know there were good portions of the time when he was the best player for us, not named AD and Bron. He was the third best player on the team in certain games in the playoffs, and we just didn't give him more than 25 minutes. I think that changes this year. I think now that he's been paid, you don't have to reserve him. In fact, you got to justify paying him that, which is not hard to do. You just got to play him. He's worth that. But the point is now you got to play him because you paid him, and that should leave him on the floor more. That ultimately puts him in a position to possibly be fantasy relevant. If he can keep his efficiency up, which I don't expect. He was shooting damn near 90% last year in the playoff. I mean, the boy didn't miss much of anything. I don't expect for that to continue. I don't think that's quite who he is, but the high efficiency, if it does turn out that he's one of the most high efficient players ever, that would be amazing, because that's exactly what he's showing us every time we put him on the floor. He just doesn't miss very much. And so all of this is pointing toward Rui Hachimura having a breakout this year in terms of the minutes, translating to him being able to step into his own. He still has his limitations in certain areas. I don't want him dribbling the ball too much. He doesn't look to pass as much as he needs to. But he's much better defensively than we ever thought. And like I said, that efficiency makes it so that he doesn't miss very much. If he's not missing very much, and Austin Reeves is a naturally efficient player as well, I like our chances of being an overall solid efficiency shot-making team with those two re-signed and being particularly good at that area. So yeah, definitely excited about our re-signs there. Good contracts, good players. A lot of people are saying, "Oh, Rui got a little too much." I don't think so. Like I said, I thought we played him less so that we didn't have to pay him more. So when you consider all of that, yeah, he should definitely be at cost at least, because we know he should have been on the floor more, and that would have drove his price probably up to $100 million. So nah, I don't think he's. I don't I don't look at his pay and be oblivious to that point. Yeah, he probably should be making more. So I'm happy with Rui's contract. And I hope that he continues to be the same player he's been. Because if he is, I'm happy with him. And we're good. So yet another player that we can comfortably push in to the small forward position if for some reason we decide we want to. The flexibility of the versatility of our roster is really, really compelling to me, especially with Jalen being 6'5", probably still growing. He'll probably get up to 6'6". Look at Max Christie, Max Lewis. All those guys are in the 6'5" range, and everybody we've already mentioned, all of height. You just like the idea of being able to put players in multiple positions this year in ways that last year we were trying to do and were ill-advised for doing. Mixing players up in different positions, putting 4 and 5 guards on the floor, it made for some very bad small ball lineups. Our team should be a very good small ball team. Unlike that, because we do have the players that can now, you can put Jalen at the 2, D'Lo at the 1, Austin at the 3, Rui at the 4, Vando at the 5, and have a small ball lineup that can run around, defend, do all the different things. So mix and match, put AD in there, Bron in there, you can mix and match, put Vincent in there, and he'll be the smallest player on the team who plays bigger than his height. So if everything works out, I think the only real deficiency I have concerns about for this roster is finishing in the paint, particularly with our guards. And we've already mentioned that. I just don't think we put a lot of pressure on the rim in comparison to other guard tandems. We don't fly like that. We're layup guys. We're not really dunkers. And so that concerns me when you consider the type of rim protection that may be out there against us, some of the size that we will have to see in the front court that we probably don't necessarily match up with without AD on the floor. Those are going to be the lineups that I'm most concerned. We're going to be having guards getting packed at the rim. We're going to be having guards getting to the line. Hopefully they get their free throws and get those calls. But I don't see us being a very efficient scoring point team in the paint at all this year, and that concerns me a little bit, especially if we get into a point where we start to shoot a lot of mid-range jumpers, a lot of three-point shots. It can make for some big deficits and some blown leads. So we gotta find a way to put pressure on the rim. So that's what I'm thinking about as well. Happy that LeBron James was able to reach out to everybody and let them know that he felt the love and the support. Him and his family are together. Everybody's feeling good. And so that's what we want to hear. Hopefully they won't have any setbacks in regards to Bronny's future, and he could get drafted and ultimately be on the path that he's been on. That's my prayer for that family and for that young man. And we're looking forward to good news about what the heck that was about. Very good news, in fact. So yeah, but as long as Bron is good, we got that statement out. We could be at peace in regards to him and his family. Hopefully his off season will pick right back up where it needs to go, so he can have no setbacks at all. Because this was one hell of a setback, to say the least. So hopefully he's in a good space and it continue a good off season. So that's what it's about, man. When you look at situations like this, me personally, I look at it. I'm saying, man, it's a bad off season because that event occurred. But when you realize that it didn't go as bad as it could have, you feel blessed, and it turns out to be one of the best off seasons because you've been blessed with the grace of your kids still being around. So it makes you enjoy life. Those type of things make you appreciate life more once you realize the worst is behind you and you didn't face the horror of it. So hopefully there's a relief about the whole situation for not only LeBron's family but for the whole organization, so that we can go forward with eased mind. That first Bronny will be fine, and then from there LeBron will be fine as well. So that's what it is as a Laker fan. You want to just make sure that all your players are feeling the love, man, especially when they're going through difficult times, man. We've seen players go through some incredibly difficult times. We've lost some guys, as we know. So, anytime we have an opportunity to be thankful for anything, I think Laker Nation is definitely up for that. And so that's what I want to say. We're very thankful that Bronny's still with us, and we're very thankful that LeBron is still on the team. So I think that's where I want to leave the video. I don't have a whole lot to say about the Lakers, of course, because it ain't nothing going on other than just us trying to find a center right now. And I guess I can add that to this video, since that was a thought from earlier. Are we okay with the center position with Jackson Hayes and Colin Castleton and Anthony Davis and Rui and Vando, if it comes to that? If for some reason we can't find ourselves a center and maybe decide to go in a different direction with a Kelly Oubre or something like that, I don't think I'm comfortable with that. But I do also think that I didn't incorporate Jackson Hayes into the vision as much as maybe I should have when considering what we look like without another center. Jackson Hayes is a better than serviceable player when he's at his best. He reminds me of a poor man DeAndre Jordan with the ability to develop into DeAndre Jordan, for which he hasn't had the opportunity to do that yet because he's only been with New Orleans, and New Orleans has other focus other than developing him. So I'm happy he's here. I'm expecting him to be still a project, to have upside, and I'm looking forward to being pleasantly surprised with this player. Obviously, he's limited. You don't expect him stretching the floor or making plays for everybody or nothing like that, but just for the athleticism that he brings with his height, I do expect for some DeAndre Jordan-like opportunities above the rim, catching lobs, blocking shots, and just ultimately running the floor very well. If he can be that type of player, a better than Damian Jones type of player, we can feel comfortable about putting him on the floor in just key moments where we need to sit AD, where we'll need to not have AD on the floor or doesn't play that day. At least we can have enough size on the floor to give us what we need so that we're not getting out-rebounded on every possession. So I think we have some good rebounding guards, good rebounding forwards. So if for some reason we don't have that center, I do expect that our bigger guards will help us with that. D'Lo, Jalen Hood-Schifino, those guys are going to rebound the ball over guys that they need to rebound the ball over at their positions to give us some offset from that size. So I'm less concerned about the center position from that standpoint. But I still think we could be a little small out there, especially when you're talking about going up against really, really big, capable basketball teams. And there are several of them in the Western Conference that we're going to have to see several times a year. So I don't think we're a championship team if we don't get that piece. I don't. I think we can get through the regular season just fine. But at the end of the day, what we're trying to deal with is the possibility of playing against a superstar center in the finals or the Western Conference Finals, or like it was last year. For whatever the odds will be, Joel's out there, Giannis is out there, Jokic is out there, and you got to find somebody on your roster that can slow them down. Or when you do get to the point where you have to see them in a 7-game series, you can just pencil yourself in as a loser. And that is ultimately what we don't want to find ourselves being when we want a championship this year. We have a win-now situation with a player who's going to be entering his 21st season this year. So we definitely want to make sure that we don't have any deficiencies on our roster. The thing that I'm worried about, well, not worried about, but the thing that I did not want, that it looks like we may be setting ourselves up for, is another mid-season trade that we are expecting to make. It ain't a necessity like D'Angelo's situation, but you can bet that the Lakers are going to likely shop D'Angelo Russell at the trade deadline, since they negotiated an opportunity to do so. He's on a 2-year deal at $20 million a year. I think it's 2 years, if I'm not mistaken. Player option. So the deal is friendly for us to be able to move it, and I think Rob Pelinka is thinking about moving it, and therefore we'll have a midseason trade that we're expecting that will ultimately break our team up and make it so that we have some continuity reincorporation process to deal with once again, which I personally would rather avoid. Even though I do want to move D'Lo, I also don't want to go into the season with players knowing that we're moving someone and then that being something we expect all season long. It just makes for the environment for which less effort can be put in, the environment for which guys don't quite understand what they got to do from the one half of the season to the next because of it. So having been a team that's gone through this with AD and Bron on the team several years in a row where we just knew we needed to make a trade and knew our team was going to look different at the end of the season, I personally just didn't think that was best for us going into this particular year. I would rather have a squad that I'm expecting to be here the whole playoffs, and then if for some reason if things go wrong, we have tradable pieces that we can move. But right now it looks like we're likely going to want to do something no matter what, and I just don't want to go through that again. But it ain't the same deal. And I think basically what I'm trying to convey is I would love for us to have a team that we want to have. And by the trade deadline, if we don't make a move, it doesn't feel like a letdown. That's the kind of season I want. Some continuity into the situation. There's a lot of teams out there that need to blow it up. We are not that. That's what I'm here to say. We're one of the few teams in this league with a win now timeline that should actually be here. And so because of it, I like that we brought in pieces that we expect to keep for multiple years, contracts that should be affordable that other teams will want, but we don't have to move. And I would love to see this season be the season where the Lakers don't desire to make any moves, don't have any plans to make any moves, and can get past the trade deadline feeling as best about themselves for not making any moves, and then bring back the same team next year and have everybody being exactly who we want them to be. That's best case scenario. That ain't how it ever works unless you're the best team in the league. But that's the type of season that I genuinely want LeBron James to be a part of. A year where ain't no trades necessary. Everybody knows everybody, and continuity is what we're hanging our hat on from this point on. So if we can do that, if we have that, I think it'll make for us being a much better team going into the season following this season. Where you've kept everybody, teams coming back, even if they're not overly talented, the likelihood that they'll succeed and overachieve is much higher, like the Miami Heat for the last 5 years, because it kept bringing the same dudes back while everybody around them kept making substantial changes. So it's time for the Lakers to step into the stability phase of their timeline. And that's what I'm saying. It's stable time, meaning we're going after it. We're in the same place the Boston Celtics are in. Everybody's been paid. Now let's just put our heads down. Nobody should be complaining about nothing. Nobody should be looking to move on. Everybody should be looking to play their role and have their own performance be what's on their minds as it pertains to how the team is succeeding. Not their contracts, not anything else. Just we're all together. We know everybody's successful off the court. Everybody's happy and paid. Let's get winning to be the only thing that we're thinking about, sacrificing for one another because everybody's whole off the court. So that's what I'm hopeful for. Get AD his extension right away, and let's put this thing together, man, because you best believe the Boston Celtics are singing the same tune. I listened to a Boston podcast yesterday, as I was telling you guys, and their guys are thinking the same thing. Jalen's paid. Everybody's on tab. They've made the moves necessary. Their future is stable time. It's not time to be making moves. It's not time to rebuild. It's not time to think about, oh my God, I need to just bring one more piece. Nah, this is the time where you say, I have what I need, and ain't nothing left to do but get the NBA championship. I think both the Lakers and the Celtics are in that situation right now. And if things go the way they're supposed to do, those are going to be the teams you see in the finals this year. I'm not predicting that, but I'm telling you that that's where those two franchises are. So they should want that. And so that's really what it is, man. No more trades, man. No more changes. No more, let's move him so we can get a little better. Nah, we are exactly as good as we can be without making decisions we shouldn't make. And so let's go after it. And that's really where I'm at with it. Unless somebody wants to give us Pascal Siakam for D'Angelo Russell or something, we shouldn't be making no trades. Let's keep what we have, and let's utilize everybody to the best of their ability, keep everybody healthy. Our team is deep as hell, so it shouldn't be hard to give guys opportunities to heal from whatever injuries come. And if we happen to fall short, don't feel nothing for that. Just get better, because everybody on the team is 22 years old except for Bron and AD, and we need them to stay together and believe that they can get better no matter what happens with this season. So unless they fall and crash and burn and everybody's bad this year, that's going to be the tune I'm singing. Or it should be the tune I'm singing if I'm thinking clearly. And that's what I want, man. I feel as good about going into this season as I have any season with LeBron and AD. This is as good as I felt about any season, including 2020. So I'm not saying we're going to win a championship. In fact, I've been on record saying I don't think we are a champion. Not this year, because I just think there's going to be too many young players having to play big roles, and guys who haven't developed fully asked to step up and pretend like they are fully developed to make all of this make sense. And I just think it's too early. It's too early to ask Dawson to be that guy. It's too early to ask Rui to be that guy. And it's way too early to ask some of these role players that we just picked up to be those guys. This is too early. So that's my only thing. I'm not buying the Lakers being a champion this year, but I do buy us being a contender, especially if AD and Bron are healthy. Hell yeah, we're a contender. We're always a contender when those guys are healthy. But even if they're not healthy, we got a core of young players that need to develop regardless if them dudes are healthy or not. So that's the look of our team. The look is win or lose, continuity and getting better should be the most important thing for the young squad. And if they happen to fall short of Bron and AD's goal, we can't look at that and say it's the worst thing in the world, because at the end of the day, we do need these players to get better so they can come back next year and have that same confidence being that much better, because they're getting that much older and they're young players. So you're on a young team, my core, my guys, Bron and AD, you're on a young team, man. So your goals to win a championship is definitely our goals, but we need to think long term about these guys that we got, and we need to not forego their development so that we can expedite this process. We are in a perfect spot to just let a team get better, and I just hope that our core has a couple years in them. Bron and AD, I know AD's gonna sign on for 3 years, so he's gonna be here next year and the year after that. Bron, it's up to his body and his mind to want to be a part of it, but if he chooses to, and we're set for the next 3-4 years, straight up. We're set. We just need to be able to adjust to him and Father Time and all the things that come with that, making sure the right defensive players and all that is on the floor, for which we have rostered, the right shooters on the floor, for which we have rostered. So that's what it comes down to. He should be able to, like I said, lick his wounds, take as much time as he needs to load manage so that his body can be as fresh as it needs to be. We have a deep team. We got Rui, we got Vando. All we got to do is play those guys more. If for some reason Brian has to play less, shouldn't be a problem. So that's what I'm saying to you guys, man. I'm excited about the Lakers 2023-2024 season. So long as we can stay healthy and keep balance about what it is we're doing, and just be patient with everybody on the team, because everybody's young except for Bron and AD and Taurean Prince and Gabe Vincent. Everybody else is new to the party. And the development of the guys we just paid, Rui and Austin, is still something that we're going to have to respect. You know, it's just like anything else. Just because a guy turned 21 doesn't mean he's the most responsible grown person. He just turned a new age. Austin Reeves got paid, yes. Is he going to be the player that we expect him to be 3 years from now? Next year? No. He's still getting better. And that means there's still going to be some mistakes made. There's still going to be some circumstances where he's not going to be a super duper star, and that should be fine. That should absolutely be fine. So it's still Bron and AD's team. Those guys still getting better. And because of it, there's a learning curve that they're going to have to take on, coupled with the other players around them who have even less experience than them, which is essentially why I do not have us win the championship this year. Too many young guys relying on each other. It's just not, that's not real. But what it is really good for the health of our franchise, and ultimately the players that we have, that we've put together. If for some reason they do all play like they've been here before, and we got a contender for real. So that's pretty much it, man. That is my thought. I think Max Lewis had a birthday today too. I think Fud's birthday was yesterday. Max Lewis is today, or something like that. But happy birthday to both of those guys. If I'm not mistaken, I think that's how that goes. Summer birthdays, you know how it is. I'm a summer birthday too, August 18th. So it's Leo season, or approaching it, and that's what we got going on. So that's what it is, man. You know what I rep. You know how we rock. BDL 44. I thank you all for watching.